Alrighty, here with us, the head coach of the Hamburg Sea Devils for the European League of Football, Yogi Jones. All right, coach, how you doing?
Good. You got that one, Yogi. Doing
Yeah,
great. Doing great.
another.
Mom's happy now. My mom
That's it.
that made my mom happy.
The official mom nickname is Yogi Jones. I
Absolutely.
like it.
She's
Yeah,
no longer with us. She's no longer with us. But she's never called me anything else.
good. And you know what? Me neither, because that's how you introduced yourself to me years ago. So that's
Hey,
it. Like I said, so this you're going into your second year with the Hamburg Sea Devils. Um, but can you talk a little bit about your experience before that? Like I know a fair bit about it, but yeah, just go from your
sure,
football
sure,
experience.
sure, sure, sure. I coming out of college, I had a hot cup of coffee with the Dallas Cowboys, and then I got to a transition point in my life to where whether I was going to continue going on with the game or was I going to go back to the real world. And that's exactly what I did. As I went back to the real world, I got into grad school and started grad school. Then I had to make a decision: was I going to try to coach, or was I going to try to go into business? So I made that decision to go into coaching. I told my wife, it was probably about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I said, "Honey, I know what I'm going to do." She wasn't my wife at the time, but I said to her, "I know what I want to do. I want to be coach." And it hit me like a bolt of lightning. And I've been coaching ever since. And that was in 1983. And I've been coaching ever since 1983. And I went from there to James Madison University. That was my first full-time job. I worked there for 4 years. We had a great run at JMU, great staff. Went to the national playoffs for the first time in the school's history,
Wow.
which is something I will never forget. And the players that we had, even back then, we are still in contact with each other because we have some really special things that we do share, and some special people that we do share from that time. But I was also the first African American to coach at JMU, and since then JMU is gone light years. They've had head coaches at a number of different sports, black head coaches, and also have had a black head coach in football and coordinators and whatnot. So it was a good opportunity for me. But I left there and went to Rutgers, which is my first 1A position. And I left Rutgers because we got released. I left Rutgers with some really good coaches, and going to Rutgers was very important. Being there for that very short period of time was very important because I went to University of Pittsburgh, went to Tulane, and then I came into NFL Europe. I came into NFL Europe with Dick Curl. Dick Curl and I were on the same staff at Rutgers. If I don't go to Rutgers, I never meet Dick Curl.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so
Um,
in '99, he gave me my first opportunity here in NFL Europe, and we won the World Bowl in
yeah.
'99, which got me hooked. It got
Yeah.
me hooked on coming to Europe. My children were 6 and 7, and they loved it. They loved it. They were learning geography. They were learning Europe. They were learning world history. To have a chance to come to Europe and to actually be in the places that they're studying
Hmm.
was amazing. The other thing is that the person that owned their school was a Montessori school. The person that owned their school was from Frankfurt. Okay, she taught the kids German. So basically, they knew very elementary German, about as much as I know now. They knew very elementary German during the time that they were coming over here. And subsequently, I ended up doing NFL Europe for 4 years before I went to the Cleveland Browns. Okay, I went to the Cleveland Browns as a scout, and which was a great opportunity for me. It gave me an understanding for talent acquisition and talent evaluation. Had some really good guys on the staff. Bruce Arians was on the staff. Todd Bowles was on that staff. I was working for Butch Davis at the time, and my previous mentor, head coach, position coach, Foge Fazio from the University of Pittsburgh was the guy that helped me get there. And it was a great opportunity. I was responsible for evaluating all talent in all leagues outside of the NFL, which meant Arena 1, Arena 2, CFL, okay, and any other league, like the NIFL, the National Indoor Football League. Okay, now don't laugh. I signed a player out of there who played in the league about 8 years.
No way.
Chad Mustard. Chad Mustard. You may remember him. The big tight end.
Oh, did he play Rhein Fire?
Yes, big tight end at Rhein Fire. Chad Mustard.
That's right. Yeah.
Chad Mustard. I signed him. Here's another guy going through Canada. Israel Adonijah.
No way.
University of Manitoba.
Wow. Yeah.
6'7", 292, 4'7", 5". I signed both of those guys when I was at Cleveland.
Nice. Yeah, you can find talent anywhere.
Yeah, that was great, honestly. And having been in Europe, and I always worked with the national players, John. I always worked with national players. I was coaching defensive line and linebackers. On defense, that's where they put the national players. The DBs were all-American players. But there were a couple national players that we had when we won the World Bowl here in 2007, like Ryota Hori, who closed out the game with an interception from Japan. Closed out the game with an interception. But the thing was that I developed an understanding and an affinity for developing the player, getting that player to compete and do his best just like any other player on the team. That's what's endeared me to coming to Europe. That's what's endeared me to coming back here to Hamburg. I understand these guys will compete. They'll want to do their best. They'll pay attention to detail. You give them the details of what they need to learn. Okay, that's where they can step up. That's the way we're going about our business on a daily basis here, John, is giving guys the details that they need to play higher level football. Okay, you can't just say go out there and do this. Sure, they may grasp the concept, but they need to know how to. Okay, giving them the how to and giving them the why, especially when they don't get it exactly right. Okay, it's very important to move in that direction. But back to my path. Like I said, I was with the Cleveland Browns, but I wanted to get back to on the field. I missed being on the field, and also my wife's father had a health issue, so it allowed me to get back to home. Working in NFL Europe allowed me to get back home in the off season. I was home for 6 months, 6 to 8 months, whereas we did NFL Europe in the spring, correct? So here I am. I was able to be back home with my wife, my family, and also I had an opportunity to coach my children in growing up in the sports that they played. And the local rec department from Christiansburg, they worked with me and allowed me to do my kids' practices back to back while they were playing basketball. And it was great. It was absolutely perfect for me. So we kept going in that direction, and then I had a chance to go to Paris, work in Paris for the Paris Flash.
Yeah.
Okay. Why was that important? I worked for Patrick Kazumi.
Yeah.
Okay. Why was coming to NFL Europe in '99 and being there in 2001? Okay. I worked with Patrick Kazumi. Okay. 2001, 2002. Okay. Worked with Patrick in the Flash. Okay. And we've been in contact ever since. The other thing in being in Frankfurt in 2001, 2002, we share a mentor, Bob Valicenti. Bob Valicenti, he gave me my demeanor on the sideline, working with professional players. He gave me my demeanor. To see the man work with men, not say one cuss word, but the guys come off the sideline and they're breathing fire. It was a skill that I learned as a coach to address men as men. Address men as men. I was able to take that to the Flash to get them to understand, if you want to be treated like a man, act like a man. Okay? I will speak to you like a man. Now, I can do the other thing as well, but I choose not to, especially being a father and my children like to come around my field. I shouldn't have to come out of who I am to motivate you, or who I want to be to motivate you.
Yeah.
Okay. And quite frankly, I shouldn't have to be doing a whole lot of motivating when you're on the field. You should be going 1,000 miles an hour. So it's just one of those things. But yeah, just keeping that thing going, and work with Patrick. And after the year after the Flash, Patrick left and came up here to the Baltic Hurricanes. And I was going to come with Patrick to the Baltic Hurricanes, and actually they named me as the defense coordinator. But a week later, Brian Jenkins, who became the head coach of the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats, offered me the position to become the defensive coordinator and assistant head coach. And he wanted me to come with him. And here's another thing. In 2001, Brian Jenkins was on our staff in Frankfurt with Bob Valicenti and Patrick.
I can't remember that name.
Yeah, Brian Jenkins. He was there for 1 year. He's a young brother trying to keep moving in the profession. He just got released from, I think it was Bowling Green, and he's a University of Cincinnati grad. And it's one of those things. It's another deeper story, John. I recruited him out of high school.
Oh, no way.
I recruited him out of South Florida, Dillard High School. He was a guy that was a little bit troubled. His head coach, Otis Gray, who was an absolute legend in South Florida football, an absolute legend. His teams would have 16 1A players on one team. Wow. When I say 1A, I'm saying Auburn, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Miami, you name it, Florida State, Pittsburgh, all those guys went to those schools in 1 year.
Wow.
And his coach said, "Hey, coach, I don't know if you have time or not. I got a group of young men in here that they just don't get it. Would you take some time and speak to them?" Sure, coach. I mean, that's why I became a coach, to help young guys find their way forward. And so I step into the room. There's about 4 or 5 kids in there, and Brian just happened to be one of them. Coach, we met up at the Senior Bowl. I introduced him to Doug Graber. Doug Graber hires him to come on our staff. Okay. And I mean, he and Val really hit it off as well. He loves Val as well. He really helped Brian to develop a demeanor as far as coaching and whatnot, and to help them to organize things to become a head coach, because that was his goal. And sure enough, I called him to congratulate him. He said, Coach, would you be interested in coming to work with me? I said, yeah. So let's go. And sure enough, it was done. It was done. And I resigned from. This was going to Bethune-Cookman University.
What year was that?
He became the head coach of Bethune-Cookman University in 2010.
2010. Okay.
Yeah, in 2010, and subsequently I worked there for 12 years. The next 12 years, I worked at Bethune-Cookman, and we can talk about that as we finish up here with this path. But honestly, it was one of the best coaching experiences I've ever had, along with NFL Europe, working at Bethune-Cookman under Brian Jenkins. The things that we did at a high level and raised the level of play of our players, and the number of games that we won over that time, and the fact that we beat FBS schools at that time. We played, and we could play, step on the field with anybody and hold our own, if not challenge them for the win.
Yeah.
And seriously, the first time we played Miami, we should have beat Miami. We had a chance to score 21 points, but it would have been 21-0 by the second quarter. Wow. And we had guys that played like that. We had it was a free agent, Ryan Davis, who ended up playing 8 years in the league. He had a couple other guys that played in other leagues, CFL as well as arena ball. But we had some guys that could play at a high level, and we gave some high level concepts as well.
So to reflect a bit on your path there, right? So I was going to say, I didn't know about Rutgers that you were there. I was going to ask you, is that you, because Doug Graber was at Rutgers too. Was that after you were there?
Here's another thing. Here's another thing. I go there. Okay, we play the season. It's 89. We get fired. It was Dick Anderson's last year of like 7 or 8 years having been there. Okay, we had I think it was like a 500 season. And Doug Graber comes in to be the head coach. He gives us an exit interview.
All right.
That's how I met Doug Graber.
Yeah, there you go.
He hired me. Okay, when he found out that I was still interested in the job, and actually I was a holdover from the previous staff from Dick Curl. Yeah. Okay, he decided to keep me on the staff, and it was history. Then we brought in Brian Jenkins. Yeah. Okay, so that's how it works for me.
Yeah. Well, it goes for everybody. For a lot of people is like that, right? And the other thing I was going to say is, when you were, I think it was your first year in Paris, I stepped into the defense coordinator position at the Aix-en-Provence Argonauts.
Yeah, okay.
We coached against it. Well, no, you're on defense, I'm on defense, but that was good. The other thing is, I would say, is like I've had the good fortune to be in a national camp in Frankfurt, and Bob Valicenti was the defense coordinator at that time, and so it was very brief. It was like, I don't know, like 3-4 days or something. But look, it is impossible to be in the same room with this guy and not be like completely overwhelmed with the type of teacher he is, the knowledge of the game,
the knowledge,
his communication skill. You know, it's like, and it's unfortunate that I only had that one time with him, but that was insane.
Yeah, I had a chance to put a lot of things together, honestly, to becoming a coordinator, going from a position coach to a coordinator. I had a chance to put a lot of things together with Val's system. Val's system was Patrick's system.
Yeah.
Val's system was the system Brian Jenkins liked. Okay. I brought that defense to Bethune-Cookman. Okay. I brought that defense to the Paris Flash. Okay. And we brought elements of that defense back here to Hamburg.
Yeah.
Okay. We brought elements of that defense because it is one of the most sound and one of the best coverage packages I've ever been associated with.
Yeah.
It covered the gamut. And the thing I needed as a linebacker coach, having been a defensive line coach, the thing I needed were the high level coverage concepts and how they were being coached. You gotta understand, Val's he's been an offensive coordinator, he's been a head coach, he's been a defensive coordinator, he's been a linebacker coach in the NFL, he's been a coordinator in the NFL. And his concepts hold up, especially against the zone read option stuff. Concepts still hold up.
Now,
very
from memory,
very valuable.
From memory, a lot of quarters.
Yes. And the thing with the quarters, vertical control defense.
Sure.
It handles the verticals for you when you're going 2x2, and you're going zone read. You got to cover those 4 verticals now.
Yeah.
Especially the 2-play side, you got to cover them.
Yeah.
Okay, because if you take the single high out of the backfield, guess what? The quarterback's going to step back and throw to the backside post.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what else was there? So Bethune-Cookman, 12 years. I didn't realize it was 12 years. Yeah, there you go.
Yes, sir, baby. There you go. Wildcats. Nice. Wildcats. You got to love them, man. You got to love them.
I don't know. I can't remember what year it was, but I did reach out to you when I was coaching in Germany myself. I think we wanted a linebacker. It didn't work out, but that's when somewhere around 2015 or something like that, maybe 16. About you got somebody for us. Didn't work out, but
I think it was either Ryan Lewis or Jarkivas Fields.
Fields sounds familiar. Yeah.
One of the guys that we sent over here in 2016 who played in Lubeck was Donald Smith.
All right, Donald Smith
played in Lubeck for a number of years.
Now, one of the questions I ask for all the guests, right, is, and this is not a very difficult one for you, I think, is where did we meet for the first time, Coach? Do you remember that?
Coach, it was probably either one of the summer camps. When did you start NFL Europe?
2001.
2001. It was either a summer camp or it was just coming across the field after a game or something. Because normally pregame, I'm not a very cordial person in pregame, but after the game, there's probably a very good chance that we came across the field and shook hands and basically just said all the best. And then there were some functions that I think we had like preseason where they brought the staff in, like coming for camp.
Yeah.
We may have been in the same hotel or something like that. So we have, just being cordial, man, and just being friendly and open.
Now,
yeah.
I asked this question because, for some it's been longer, for some guests it's been longer than others, right? But I remember the first time was not a summer camp. It was the national camp before training camp that we worked defensive line together.
Yes.
Remember I must have I have a picture of that somewhere. We had a couple of the big Swedes in that group.
Yeah. Peter Rundberg.
Peter, there you go. That's
Peter Rundberg. Yeah. Peter Rundberg and Daniel Benetka.
Yeah, they were for you. Yeah, there's a galaxy. Yeah. Now,
yes.
we stayed. I think it was the first 2 years we're in the same team hotel, the DoubleTree.
Yes. Then that's exactly it. Because I can remember it was a camp situation, and I can remember being around you in the hotel. But exactly where I think you hit it on the head.
So that's always interesting because what your recollection and your memory tells you and what mine is with the guest, it's interesting. I like the idea of doing that. So, but it was easy. It was in NFL Europe, so that was the easy one.
Well, at least I was a guy that you still want to communicate with 20 years later.
Yeah, well, that's right. Well,
that tells you something good. Because there's a lot of people you've met in between that you really don't care to communicate with.
Well, that's right. But I felt we had a really good working relationship early on, straight away.
Yes. Yes.
It was 2001 was my first year in pro football as well. So
yes.
You did your best to
you didn't have this on your face, John.
Is that?
You didn't have this on your face.
No, that's right.
You were very clean shaven, as I was.
That's right.
I didn't have this on my face.
Yeah,
I mean, this is the most I've ever had on my face. My mother would roll over in her grave, man, if she saw this look on my face.
Sign of the times, I guess, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
But like from the NFL Europe, then so playing against each other in, I think it was, when were you in Paris? 2008, 2009. 2009. So we were in a little bit in touch there. Obviously. Then what am I thinking? Sorry. Then I get in touch with you, like, we're looking for a linebacker, so obviously you now
sure.
The NFL, not the NFL, the elf, I call it the elf. It rolls off the tongue really easy.
That's how it's spelled.
Yeah, that's right.
I had to get that in my head the first time too. That's how it's spelled.
So obviously that brings back memories too. So, but this I want to go take a step back to Bethune-Cookman. Okay, so
sure,
because the HBCU school's been in sort of in the news.
You got that right. You got that right. HBCUs. A lot of people just don't get it right. Much respect, man. Much respect, Joe. Thank you.
It's so the first time I sort of heard about look, I'm not from the States. I know American football, I know schools, but I don't necessarily know all these where smaller schools, what divisions they're in.
Absolutely.
And
John, you have to go ahead. I'm sorry.
So the first time I heard about that was when with the Admirals, we had a player from HBCU school from I forget the name, but it was
Grambling. Grambling, Jacksonville, Southern, Jackson State.
The player was Lewis Green, and he had I think he played for the Denver Broncos 7 years or so after the NFL Europe.
Yeah.
It was the same school as McNair was from.
Yeah, that's That's Mississippi Valley State.
No. No. Well, I
Alcorn.
guess
Alcorn
that's it.
State.
That's it.
Alcorn State.
So that
I
was
knew
the
it was in
first time.
Mississippi.
No, that was the first time I heard about the HBCUs. Now with Coach Prime, there's a lot of attention came to the school.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about the history of that? Because I'm interested.
You have to understand it goes way back.
Yeah.
And the HBCUs came about because back in the early 30s, 40s, 50s, African Americans weren't allowed to go to a PWS, predominantly white, PWIs, they call them now, PWIs,
right.
Predominantly white institutions. Okay.
Yep.
It's PWIs, predominantly white institutions, HBCUs. Okay. They weren't allowed to. So they developed their own league in the South. Okay. Played each other. And it goes way back to the early 1900s.
Right.
Okay. And Bethune-Cookman University is that old. 1903, I think it was created. Mary McLeod Bethune. Obviously, they didn't start out playing football. It started out as a girls' school, but evolved to a point where they would play football, and Florida A&M was the biggest rival that they had. Okay, it still is to this day. Florida A&M. Understand, and I have to say this for all you FAMU fans out there, we got the record. 9 straight, baby. 9 straight.
Nice one. Yeah.
9 straight. We put it on them for 9 straight years. That's the record, John. Because in that rivalry, okay, and they hated us. But anyway, those schools would all play each other, and they're still there. But one of the things is that the schools sometimes have either mismanagement problems or just financial problems in general because of not having the school enrollment that they need to keep things running properly, and also not having big television games and that sort of thing to support the entire program.
Right.
Okay, a lot of times football ends up supporting all the other sports that are basically non-revenue sports. And that's one of the things that happened with Bethune-Cookman. The years that we were there in 2010 to 2016, we were the top HBCU in the country.
Right.
Okay, we were the top HBCU in the country. We changed HBCU football when Brian Jenkins came in. He came in from Rutgers. Okay, he brought a lot of Greg Schiano concepts with him, which is a very good head coach, very strong disciplinarian. Brian was a very good disciplinarian, working with the guys, and we had a great staff. We had a great coaching staff. Okay, and the one thing about us is that we put things together such that we were doing it better than anybody else on that level in the entire country. Okay. And so well that when we played FBS schools, they had to hold on to their butts. We beat FIU 2 years in a row. Okay. There was a FBS school down in South Florida, in Miami. We beat them 2 years in a row, and played everybody else respectably. Even though they say they're money games, no, we're coming to win. Yeah. We're coming to win. Sure, there's money involved, and rightfully so. It helps. It helps the school. It helps their school recruit when they come play. They play a school from our area. A lot of times too, they wanted our band to come to their games. Honestly, Bethune-Cookman band. If you have a chance to bring a band to Australia, Bethune-Cookman band, honestly, best in the country. Best in the country, hands down. But no, as you can tell, I have a great affinity for the university. Unfortunately, I lost my mom. She never saw me play a game, never saw us play a game or coach a game. We lost her in 2010. Obviously, my biggest fan, and she would have loved Bethune-Cookman University. She would have loved Bethune-Cookman University.
Yeah, these universities, they are like old universities.
They're very old. They're very old. Honestly, I knew very little. John, honestly, coming from a FBS school, University of Pittsburgh, I didn't really know that there was an FCS level, that there was a Division I AA level. I didn't really know those schools. All I knew was Division I was Division I, and we played Tennessee and Boston College and West Virginia and Miami. We played all those schools every year. I didn't know any other level, and actually I kind of in early years had a stigma about black colleges because I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
They had a nickname for it. They called it the Chitlin Circuit.
The what?
The Chitlin Circuit.
Chitlin Circuit. All right.
You have to look that up.
Yeah, that's right.
Chitlin Circuit. They call it the Chitlin Circuit. Seriously. And I'm like, I don't want to be associated with that. But understand, I didn't understand just how much those schools meant to African American history and how much it meant to the people that went to those schools.
Yeah, of course.
Those people, they love Bethune-Cookman. And Coach Prime came there. When Coach Prime got there, there were a lot of things out of not when he went to Jackson State. As at a typical HBCU, for the most part, not typical. Let me just say a high percentage, because there are other schools that have been able to turn things around and move in a more positive direction and develop all of their programs, like North Carolina A&T, who's my hat's off to them. Okay, they've done a great job with all of their programs. But during my tenure at Bethune-Cookman, we had 6 presidents. 6.
Yeah.
6 different presidents. I mean, we have fewer head football coaches than presidents. That's pretty rare.
It's the other way around usually.
Yeah, it's usually the other way around.
Yeah.
During that year, we've only had 2 head coaches. Brian Jenkins and Terry Sims.
And with this, you saw you mentioned it earlier, briefly, mismanagement of the school and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Look, obviously, it costs a lot of money to run a football program in college.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So, and like you said, a lot of the times for the bigger schools, anyways, they bring in a lot of money for the school, for the other sports and other.
Absolutely. So, now, how do those schools generate the funds? How do they play on television?
Yeah, that's for sure.
John, get this. We were on national television at least 8 times a year.
No way.
At least 8 times a year. It got to the point where we were the ESPN. You know how ESPN adopts a school that they really like? Yeah. I mean, we were on ESPN at least 2 to 3 times a month.
Wow.
It was crazy. We got to the point where they were calling us the Oregon of small college football, because we had uniforms and I don't know how Coach did because we really didn't spend all that much money on it. It was all under budget. We had over 3,000 combinations of uniforms.
Yeah.
Honestly, we had our opponent to the point that they were more concerned, especially FAMU, because they're very egotistical. They were more concerned about what we were going to wear for the game, more so than playing the game. Oh, Coach, we can get them every time. We get them every time.
Yeah.
But
sorry, go on.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just thinking. So, tons of experience, all kinds of levels, right?
Yeah.
I just want to take a little bit of a step further back and talk about a couple of people that you played with, right?
Yeah.
And because I remember these conversations we've had. So you have played with one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game in college.
Yeah.
Are you still in touch?
With Danny? No, unfortunately, we really weren't close friends. Going through college, I take it you didn't Google. You didn't get the Google about me and him.
No, there is a story.
No, but there was no animosity. Danny, without question, as you say, was one of the best to ever play the game. They were comparing him to Terry Bradshaw when he was a senior in high school.
Mm-hmm.
He was just that good. He came in as a freshman. They were saying that he had a chance to be a better player than Terry Bradshaw.
Yeah. So for the people who are watching or listening in when it's released, talking about Danny Marino.
Yes.
So I remember that we talked about that because we talked about how you played at Pittsburgh and all that, and like, oh my God, you played with Dan Marino, and so yeah. Is there anybody else that you played with that is a big name?
Played with and also in growing up, coming from Denora, Pennsylvania, which is the Monongahela Valley. I say Monongahela, a name probably pops to your head. Monongahela, Pennsylvania. Quarterback, 49er.
49ers.
Joe Montana.
Okay.
Went to my high school.
All right.
I had a chance to see him grow up. First position I ever played in football was quarterback.
No way.
The same guy that coached Joey, because we had weekend clinics for the junior high team. The high school coaches had weekend clinics. The high school coach that coached Joe Montana, Jeff Petrucci, coached me at quarterback. Okay, and honestly, we went to every game, went to every practice, and Joey, I call him Joey. He happened to play on a state championship basketball team with my cousin, who was one of the top recruits in the country in basketball. But I mean, having the opportunity to be around an athlete like that, having an opportunity to be around an athlete like Dan Marino, have an opportunity to play with Jim Kelly in a high school all-star game.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean.
It gives you a perspective on how young guys can develop. Okay. Other guys I played with, Chris Dolman, Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Russ Grimm, Hall of Famer. Mark May, Hall of Famer. Okay. Ricky Jackson, Hall of Famer. Hugh Green should be a Hall of Famer, College Hall of Fame. Okay. Bill Fralick, College Hall of Fame. Jimbo Covert, Hall of Famer. They were all guys that I played with. Did I have the same level of talent? No.
Yeah.
No, but I competed. And I worked my ass off just to stay on the field with those guys. Honestly.
I asked this question is sort of to start this. who have you worked with, right? With coaches, and you named a lot of guys there already, like that you learned from. You know, like you said, Bob was a big influence.
Yeah.
I started something, you know, a few years ago, and I call it the learning tree. And
Yeah.
it's like the coaching tree, but it's like, all right, who did I work with, or who did they work with, where that I learned from, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
for example, if you talk about, you know, your experience with all your experiences, right? You take that with you, and we working together. Then I have learned through you from these other guys
Absolutely.
as well, right? So I thought that was an interesting concept to look at it that way, and so I made a list. It's a long list, in terms of like, what are some of the names that you've worked with that you said, look, that's I learned a lot from, or the
Yeah.
guys that they worked with, right? So,
Yeah.
because that's a pretty good exercise, I find.
Yeah. John, okay, you consider us having worked together. That means you're on the coaching tree of
Yeah.
oh goodness, University of Alabama goes all the way back to Bear.
Right.
You know, Jackie Sherrill played for the Bear. Okay, my base is at the University of Pittsburgh. Okay, played for Jackie Sherrill. My first coordinator was Jimmy Johnson.
Was he in Pittsburgh? Was he?
My first coordinator was Jimmy Johnson.
Ah,
Coordinator, defensive line coach, he was. Okay,
yeah.
that was basically my first position coach, because my freshman year, being the biggest linebacker, I played down. Jimbo Cover and I, we played down in our freshman years. We were only 2 freshmen to play that year. We played down. We'd split games because of injuries that we had on the front. But the thing is that I learned base defense and base technique from Jimmy Johnson. Okay. Then going from there, finally getting back to linebacker from Foch Fazio. Foch Fazio, Jock Sullivan. I mean, he played for, but it goes all the way through to where he's been, what he's coached since he left the University of Pittsburgh, and Minnesota, Cleveland Browns, New York Jets, you name it. That's where I learned linebacker. Okay, yep. That's where I learned linebacker. That's where I learned the fundamentals of playing linebacker, and the importance of footwork as a linebacker, the importance of keys and reads as a linebacker. Okay, yeah. Then going from there, I'd say a guy that I worked with at James Madison University, Jim Pletcher. Okay, Jim Pletcher was the defense coordinator there for a number of years. Came from UConn. Also is a Springfield, Massachusetts, graduate. Okay, you'll find that was a coaching cradle from the past. Springfield College, was a PE college, and a lot of guys went there to get their masters. Okay, yeah. But working with Pletch, we call him Pletch. Working with Pletch, again, demeanor, importance of organization, the importance of being detailed, okay, the importance of a teaching progression, okay. Your teaching progression is in writing. Every meeting that you have is in writing. Every practice that you do is in writing. Now, do I still have those? Yes, I do. I could go back to 1985, my first meeting, my first practice, all the way through to 1989. Every one of those things were written.
Wow.
Did we change the level play there? Yes, we went to the national playoffs for the first time in the school's history for JMU, and also JMU since then has won a national championship. But going from there, going from JMU to Rutgers, working for a guy by the name of Otto Nightinger, okay, and working with Dick Anderson, or for Dick Anderson, okay, who Dick Anderson was the O-line coach at Penn State for Joe Paterno.
All right.
Okay, for all those years. And actually, when he left Rutgers, he just went right back to Penn State. Joe always had a position for him. Okay, he went right back to Penn State. But being there, working with Otto Nightinger, working with Bob Slowick, who's coached at a number of different places as a secondary guy. Again, very, very organized secondary guy. Very much a technician secondary guy. Not Fran Foley, but oh goodness. Offensive line coach.
Your brain there a little bit with all that.
I'm pulling. You're pulling strands out of my head, man.
Yeah.
But I was going to say Fran Foley, but no, offensive line coach that was there. I mean, again, highly detailed guy. And just learning from those guys and how they went about their business. Going from there to Tulane. No, University of Pittsburgh. No, Rutgers to University of Pittsburgh. Now, you have to understand, who I worked for at the University of Pittsburgh was Paul Hackett.
Paul Hackett.
Okay. He was the quarterback coach of Joe Montana when 49ers won the Super Bowl. Okay. Now, get this list. Okay. He brought in Marvin Lewis, John Gruden, Fred Von Oppen, who was the defensive line coach at the 49ers when they won the Super Bowl. Okay, Coach Charles Haley. That was another guy that I coached at James Madison.
Charles Haley was some.
Charles Haley. Wow. His senior year. He's a JMU grad. Okay. Yeah, this stuff just falling out of my head, man. But no, worked with some really good coaches at the University of Pittsburgh. Again, Paul Hackett and Bill Myers, offensive line coach, who I worked with. I coached tight ends and tackles there, and I worked on the offensive side of the ball, and had a chance to learn offense. For me, having been a defense player all my career, to actually learn how the offense prepares, learn how a high level offense gets you, prepares, and technique and all that stuff. I learned it, blocking schemes, because a lot of times when you're a defensive coach and you haven't been on the offensive side, you're watching tape and you're guessing what a guy's doing. You're guessing what the reads are. You're guessing how they're going to block certain fronts. Having been in those rooms with offensive guys, high-level offensive guys, I knew exactly how they were going to get blocked and how the linemen were going to react. But there's a lot. There's a lot. There's a lot.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful thing, isn't it? Like you because everybody is going through a learning process, and you work with guys with a lot of experience. You learn the stuff that worked for them. They left the stuff behind that wasn't so good, and you learn the evolved part of it, right?
Yes, especially as it gets at a higher level. And just like you said, being around Val, he's had a chance to filter out a lot. And I it's funny. I mean, Val, he never used a computer. He wrote everything. He wrote all his notes. And it was a time where we were using overheads with the sheets of film, and he would write all his notes on that. I can remember, man, going behind it because he would just throw them away.
Yeah. No.
Go behind.
We don't do that. That's how we learn, man.
Hey, man, you just don't know how many of those sheets never made it to the trash barrel. I'm scraping all those things up, man. Those were pearls. It was so valuable to get the actual notes on how to play press coverage.
Yeah.
And his technique and coaching points on press coverage was amazing.
Yeah. The one thing I did was kind of similar is so in the NFL Europe in training camp, everybody's given like a playbook or a notepad, right?
Yeah.
Not really a playbook with us, but they had to make the notes and everything. That's kind of how it worked. And for everybody who didn't make it in training camp, I collected all the notepads. If they got released, during the year, I collected all the notepads because I want from every position, because I wanted to know, all right, how do you my
that's hardcore.
Yeah, my own position first, obviously. That's kind of all right. How did those guys make notes? How did they hear what I was teaching, right?
What you were teaching. Interesting.
Right. So and then I'm going like, all right, and then you learn from that. From all right, this is what came out of that. Well, it's not good, or that's excellent. How some guys are just meticulous with their details with their note taking. The other guys are like, what is this, hieroglyphics? But I did it with all of them, like everybody. And I just want to like figure, or like my first 2 years I was on offense, and then 5 years on defense. When I was on offense, I wanted to know what the defense was doing. When I was on defense, I want to know what are we teaching on offense. And it's But that gets me to my next sort of topic to talk about. When I started playing football, our offense was a wishbone offense. Now we like zone read or zone option. Depends on who you talk to, what they call it nowadays. There is option football, but how much has the game changed, Coach? I mean,
let me just say this: it's changed to the point that you can come to the line of scrimmage and the coordinator can call the game from the box.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
No, but no, as far as X's and O's, it really hasn't changed all that much.
You think?
Honestly, it really hasn't changed all the blocking schemes and the techniques that are used. There's probably more hand play involved, but as far as the mechanics of the blocking and the fundamental, power is power. Trap is trap.
Sure.
Trap is trap. Okay, you have all the different options. I mean, this is why JMU was important for me. Playing with Pletch was important for me. We faced every option known to man. Honestly, name it, we faced it.
Yeah.
You name it, we faced it. I've even played against the whirlybird option. Faced it, played against the whirlybird option in college and in coached against it. The whirlybird option with Bill Hurley. You open one way and then reverse and come back out the other way. Trap option. It was called whirlybird option. Was a trap option, but it was a misdirection thing for the linebackers.
Yeah.
Okay, but every option that we played against, especially Georgia Southern. Okay, when I was at JMU, 1985, that was Georgia Southern's first year as a NCAA program. They had a quarterback named Tracy Ham. Okay, they were running the broken bone. Okay, and the option. Yeah. They're running RPOs. They're running drift motion and return. Right. You know what I'm talking? Where the back comes in, goes up, and then comes back out and goes into pitch phase.
Yeah.
They were running that back then in the 1980s.
Wow.
Okay. And play action pass out of the option, hitting the slants.
Yeah.
They were doing it. They were doing that stuff in the 1980s. Yeah. Now they just didn't have it so that the coordinator could, you get to the line. They didn't have the system to where you get to the line and you look over to the coordinator on the sideline or a coach on the sideline, and he says, "Run this." During that defense. Okay, that just didn't work like that back then. But anyway, hats off to the offense, and they have the time to do it by all means. But as defensive guys, hey, you got to learn how to disguise and hold your looks. But no, that it was very, very important to experience those different levels of option. Even the zone read option gives pro players problems, gives pro coordinators problems. Okay, because if you're not playing that split safety coverage and you're trying to play that man to man, I tell you, then that quarterback keeps the ball, you got a problem.
Toast.
You come up short numbers.
Yeah. I talk about the zone read. When I first got the hang of this thing, and I was looking at it, I'm thinking, they're going to have to change some rules on this, man. Like, if you're a defensive guy, it is just insane. If you do it really, if you execute it really well, it's just so difficult, right? I mean, but you're right. Like,
it is.
If you now, and that's one of the harder things I would say, for me at least, is that to get to disguise and make it hard for the offense to read it all. That's really where the value is on defense, right?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. You have to disguise your looks. You have to give them multiple looks. Okay. Yeah. So basically, you're playing 2 or 3 different packages in a game.
What are they doing? Yeah. Let's move on to Hamburg Sea Devils, coach. Right, your second year. I mean, the program is definitely successful, but missing that last step, eh?
Yeah.
Coming out of last season, how does your evaluation process of the season go? Like, can you enlighten us a little bit on that?
Yeah, we took a step back, and anytime you come up short, you have to, even if you have a successful year, you still have to take that hard look in the mirror and look at yourself. Okay, where could we? If you won a championship, it's about how can we do it better? What could we have done better? If you come up short, it's how can we improve? Again, how can we do it better? How can we help our guys learn the things that they need to learn and get it better? How can we help our guys stay in the moment, okay, of a big game? It's important to have done. I think one of the things that we've done, we've approached our offense, okay, by hiring a new offensive coordinator, Brett Morgan, who's done a fantastic job of evaluating the entire offensive roster, helping to recruit the offensive roster, okay, for the style of offense that we want to run, okay, and you know, it's nothing earth-shattering, but it's a system. It's a system. It's solid. It has a great foundation, and our guys are in it right now, putting the details in place in the foundation. And I relate it to building the foundation of a house. These guys they're putting all the details. They're putting all the pipes in. They're putting all the wiring and all that stuff. It's going in the foundation, and they're working their tails off. Coach Brett is doing a great job with them with virtual meetings. He's very good at that virtual stuff. I'm a dinosaur, man. That's a good. I'm just happy. I'm happy I could get on this streaming call with you, man. I've never. No, I've done it before, but it's been few and far between. But the thing is that our coaches are in it. They're working it. They're working their shortcomings from the previous season, and same thing on defense. We're working our shortcomings from the previous season. Okay, we have a very high degree of turnover. Actually, it's about the same amount of turnover from 21 to 22. We still have about the same number of players, okay, turning over. It's somewhere around 30 players that are turning over from 22 to 23. Okay, whereas we're bringing in new players, young players that bring a lot of skill and have really good upsides. Okay, but we're getting them the fundamentals that they need now. Okay, again, we're in their foundation, giving them the things that they need to fortify themselves and understand the concepts that we're trying to teach. Okay, again, it's that VAL approach. It's taking the time to teach them how to do it right. Okay,
yep.
And
it was one of my questions about the turnover or new players each year. So, the roster is about what, 65 maximum?
Yeah, the roster is 65 now, and they've cut the game day roster down to 46.
46. Okay.
Yes.
So still a pretty decent number, 46 players.
Yeah.
And of those 65, you're saying half of them each year is new? Kind of?
Well, in these first few years of the league, I think last year, because of uncertainty, okay, of the league being back, this year I think it's because of attrition. We have got guys just were in their last years. You know,
okay.
we lost a bunch. We lost a few guys that just basically graduated.
Yeah.
You know, for me, it's like a college year. You're going to lose close to 25 guys every year in the college. You know, for a club team over here to lose 25 guys every year is like unheard of. But for me, it's okay. We got to go recruit more guys and go out and find and attract more guys so that they understand what we're all about. Show them what's good about Hamburg. Show them what they can accomplish while they're here at Hamburg. Okay, let them see the city of Hamburg, which is a great city. It's a beautiful day here, man. I'm loving this. But as long as they don't come in January.
It was a bit nippy, was it?
I may not be saying that in January, but no, it's been good. I've been here all year round, John.
All right.
It's the longest I've ever been away from home. You know, but no, it's good. It's good. The thing that's great about the city of Hamburg, the people are so hardy. The people are so hardy to the point that They get out in the rain. They get out in the cold. They're riding their bikes. They're going to work. They go to work every day. Their kids are going to school every day, just like the sun is shining.
Yeah,
out here.
You don't know any better, right?
No, that's just it. Okay, it's raining. It's cold. Boom, got to go. You got to go to school. Hey, I got to go to work. Okay, my hat's off to them, without a doubt.
So in your preparation, so where do you see yourself being right now if you compare it to last year?
Yeah, thanks for bringing me back on track. Exactly, John. It's just good to talk with you, man. Honestly, and I hope you can use a lot of this in your show. This is good. It's good experience for me as well.
This is gonna just be uncut. It just whatever time it is, it's all there, and this is just two guys catching up, man. That's how I look at it, you know.
But see, John, this is how I like to meet. This is how I like to do meetings. This is how Val did meetings.
Yeah.
You know, one minute we're sitting there. Next thing you know, we're talking about a technique. We're talking about a concept. Next thing you know, we've had our meeting. Oh, we're done. Let's go to lunch.
Yeah.
And it was probably the most productive time that I spent all day because we learned something. We learned something, which is great. But where we're at right now, we kind of graduate into this season, coming from college. I guess in January, February, actually November, December, January, February, you have what they call fourth quarter training, weight room and conditioning. Okay, this is the first year that we were able to acquire a weight room facility, okay, for majority of our players that are here, local homegrown players, and have them be in the same place doing a strength development program, okay, that is designed to take them from zero to wherever they can go. But the thing is teaching them the fundamentals of the lifts, teaching them weight room etiquette, how to work with each other and push each other in a weight room environment. We had a lot of guys who just never been in that environment before. But little do they know, and they've come to understand that it's the basis of any successful program to make change or develop in the off season. Okay, you have to start there. It's a bonding point. It's a bonding. I know every team that I was associated with, we got after it in the weight room. We flat out got after it in the weight room every day. You didn't step in the weight room unless you were going to be serious about getting stronger.
Yeah.
Okay. That give you an idea. Okay. My strength coach, actually I went to school with. He was an All-American track guy. Buddy Morris is his name. He is now the strength coach at the Arizona Cardinals. And he's been a strength coach ever since. That's how I learned to lift. And we're able to give some of these things, techniques and things to our players. Coach Kendall has a very good high level knowledge of strength and conditioning. A couple of our players, they're doing it as their profession as well, personal trainers, so that we're able to collect the information and make it ours for our players.
Yeah.
Okay. And they really bought into the environment and the effort that they put out. So we just went through that in February. So in March, okay, to me, ramping up ramping up and going like going into spring practice. Okay, in March we had 2 weekends out of the month because our players still have jobs, they still have families. We had 2 weekends out of the month where we came together as a team and we did drills and things like that. But other than that, we're meeting. I think it was twice a week. We're meeting twice a week, and we're doing the lifts 3 times a week.
Okay.
Okay. Now, here coming into April, we are practicing twice a week. Okay. And meeting twice a week.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice.
Practicing twice a week and meeting twice a week. The thing is that, again, respecting that our guys still have jobs, respecting the fact that they have families. And when we get to May, this all changes.
Is it virtual meetings?
Yes, we're doing virtual meetings. And now going through, virtual meetings until the last week in April. We're virtual, then it switches to face-to-face and virtual. Okay. So like every Friday, you have the ability to have a virtual meeting. Early in the week, you have a virtual. Middle of the week, you either have a virtual or a live meeting, face-to-face. As we get closer to the season, those middle of the week meetings, Wednesdays, will be live meetings. Okay. Whereas we're face to face, we come together, we get a chance to see each other another time. We're all in the same environment. Okay, it helps our coaches come together during the course of the week as well. So we're going to meet on Wednesdays in the evening. Okay, to where we bring everybody together. But again, it's ramping up and slowly pulling our team together because we have new members coming on board. Okay, especially the early part of the process, new members are coming on board. Those guys are getting announced. Those guys are getting a chance to feel comfortable with the environment, getting a chance to get acclimated to the players that are the new players that they're around. And then as we go through May, it'll be 3 times on the field. Okay, it'll be 3 times on the field and 2 meetings.
That's pretty good, huh?
Okay, so we're going through basically 5 times a week where we're interacting, and the thing is okay, we're taking no more than whenever we practice, it's never more than a 2.5 to 3 hour block.
Okay. Do you know how far some of your guys travel to come to practice?
Yeah, for sure. Some guys travel as much as an hour. Some guys a little over an hour 15, hour and a half. Yeah, some guys, and that's why we don't demand so much during the course of the week, and they know what their situation is, and you're able to compensate some guys on their travel, but for the most part, I mean, when we go on the weekends, we make our practice such that they can get here in the morning, say at 10 o'clock. They can get here, they can leave home at a decent hour, get breakfast, leave home at a decent hour, and get to practice. Okay. Yeah. Last year, most of our guys were in town, so we would start practice. We would start practice at 9 o'clock.
Okay. Yeah.
On the weekends, but we pushed it back to 10 for the guys that are traveling. Okay, you get here, you know that we only have one time, 10 o'clock during the week, and that's on a Saturday, and there's only 3 of those. Yeah. Okay, there's only 3 of those. Okay, and now what we're doing is we're getting your family situation accustomed to you leaving home on the weekend. Okay, you're still engaged. You're engaged through the week. where you have the 2 practices. You can spend the other night. So you're home at least, if we're playing at home, you're home at least 4 nights a week. Okay. If we're on the road, you're home at least 3 nights a week.
Yeah, that's one of these. So take me through what a game week looks like for your coaching staff, and then later for the players. What is your, because you got 3 full-time coaches, is that right, or you have more?
Yeah, we have 3. We have 3.
3. So
yeah, we have 3
obviously,
DCs and the head coach. Yeah.
So
we have 3
obviously you got
full-time
guys. You got guys, coaches that go to work during the day, and it's a little bit different.
Yeah,
schedule.
and fortunately for us, most of our guys are teachers.
Oh, there you go. Good.
We have a couple guys that are in military. Most everybody else are teachers, and so they're able to leave school 3 o'clock, be to practice by 6:30, and we're going 6:30 on. Actually, 6:45 starts the walkthrough, but 6:30 guys can report and start to get taped and that sort of thing. But 6:45, we start our walkthrough, and we take the first half hour of practice for walkthrough, so that guys have a chance to get caught up on anything that they may have missed technically and so forth. Our coaches, they also communicate through the week on WhatsApp or on Google Sheets, Google Docs. Okay, Coach Brett does a great job of working with those things and keeping our staff up to date with what the things that they have to do. Coach Kendall does a great job working with the young coaches that he has, keeping them up to speed with the things that they've got to prepare for the next practice. Right. Which, they'll do their evaluations of the practice. They can do them either that night or the next morning, or at some point during the day. The teachers will do work at lunchtime and that sort of thing, or their time that they have during the course of the day to prepare for their practices. Okay, but there's time for guys to prepare, but sometimes it's a little tight, especially when you get in the season.
Yeah. So on a lot of games are on Sunday, yeah, and the Alpha.
Yeah, all of our home games are on Sunday. Oh. I think we have 3 Saturday games and then 3 more Sunday games.
Right. Yeah, never liked those Sunday games too much.
All of our home games are on Sunday.
Look, sometimes it's just the stadium is not available and all that, right?
No, our stadium is. Now, we played in Big Victoria Stadium, but we'll play our second game against Rhein in the Big House in the Hausbau Stadium. Yeah.
In 2000, I was with the Cologne Crocodiles.
Yeah.
The GFL, and we played against the Hamburg Blue Devils, also in the Big House. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
First game of the year, and we came, we saw, we kicked their ass. Yeah, it was good. It was really good. Yeah.
Did you play with Hitler?
Yeah, he was in 2000. He was in the NFL Europe.
Actually, he was in NFL Europe. Yeah.
And
Hitler was in NFL Europe.
After the season in the NFL Europe, he came over and he played. That was my first interaction with him, right? So he would come in and he was a tight end. We need you a defensive lineman. And it was always, yes, coach, no, coach, yeah, no problem. You remember that? He's no problem. Everything was no problem. It was problem. It was my first experience working with like a professional, right? So
he has solutions. He always did.
With some meetings, and we need to get you up to speed. We're not going to have you play every snap, but every now and then we're going to use you on defense, right? I say, no problem, coach. That's
Right,
yeah.
right.
But that was that first game of the season 2000, and that was that was a great experience. So that will be huge. Rhein Fire, Sea Devils in the big house. I mean, you can be, you know, that's going to be big time.
It's like
game.
It's like a home game for me, man.
Yeah, sure.
I consider it my house, our house. Hey, I've played in there before. A lot of our guys haven't played in there. Okay, but we'll get them up to speed on what to expect with the environment. Our fans will do a great job. You know, I think we're over 15,000 sold right now. Yeah. So, and we got 3 more months before we play. So it'll be interesting.
Well, you know, let's hope there will be, you know, Sea Devils and Rhein Fire will be 1-0 week 1, right? So then it's about the first loss of the season. Something's got to give, right?
Hey, man, that's why they play the game. That's why they play the game. You got to play the game. I don't want to look beyond it. And to me, there's one show in town. There's one show in town, and that's the next game. That's the next game. You got to line up. You got to play it. I mean, you can be geeked out of your mind because you're playing in the stadium, but you know, hey, they get paid too.
The
so you better show up.
Size, right? The field is the same size. Home, away,
Absolutely.
big house, the other stadium.
I say this, John. This is what I've come to say. Just put the ball down and let's play. Yeah. Put the ball down and let's play. Honestly, that's how I learned the game as a kid. You walk out on the pitch, okay? You got a few guys. Oh, you don't have enough to play an entire game? Okay, you throw the ball up in the air, and everybody in the neighborhood tackles you to see how many guys you can run through. It was called Killer Man.
Killer Man.
Killer Man. That's what it was called. You threw the ball up in the air, and there's like 6 or 7 other guys. Everybody would try to tackle you. You'd have everybody just dragging on your back. You know, that sort of thing. And you know, it just didn't matter. If it was muddy, if it was raining, if it was if it was gravel, it didn't matter. Yeah. You played the game.
Yeah. And who you have week 1?
Wrocław.
Okay. Panthers.
From Poland.
And you are away or at home?
We are there. We're at their place.
Okay. So that's a big ass bus trip, or how do you do that?
Yes, it is, man. Yes, it is. It's 11 hours.
Because I remember those. Yeah, I remember those rides from Dresden to Hamburg and Kiel. But now you got to go a little bit further to Poland as well. That's another 2.5 hours. Yeah. But they have a nice setup too, right?
They do have a nice facility. They have a nice hotel that we stayed in over there. We're going to be staying in the same hotel. It's a nice setup. They're very professional in how they receive the teams. Okay, which is highly appreciated. Sure. Very professional how they receive the teams. Met the head coach. He came out and greeted our bus, that sort of thing. As you know, it's not a requirement, but it was a pleasant reception. Yeah. But regardless of what we do, we focus on the things that we can control. Okay, focus on the things that we can control, and you line up and play the game. Just put the ball down and make sure we're prepared with the things that we need to be prepared with.
So they have a new head coach, right? Their DC is the same. Do they have a new offensive coordinator as well?
I believe they do have a new offensive coordinator. I haven't done all the research on that yet, but getting there.
Yeah. So they had their first season was a little bit better than year 2. So they're itching to.
No, one of the things that we're trying to do again is focus on us, because we have so many changed or new moving parts.
Yep.
So we got to focus. We have to make sure that we are okay. I don't put a whole lot of emphasis on them, because I think between now and when we get into May, we'll start getting more into the scout thing and having to make adjustments in our defense for what they may or may not do. But for me right now, it's about giving our young players, a foundation for learning what they got to learn, and our older players, okay, the incentive to master what they do, because they feel like they know. Oh, I know this. Oh, I know that. Okay, no. What about this? Oh, what about that? Oh, okay. You can get better at these things. Okay. Now's the time to focus on it.
What I do here a lot, right, is I know that's not relevant that you know. Can you execute it? That is the relevant part.
Can you do it? Yes.
I know. Like, well, okay, hold on. So you say you know, but why aren't you doing it?
Just show me. I'm from Missouri, baby. Show me. Show me what you know.
It's nice if you can explain it to me, but as a player, I really don't care if you can explain it. You just have to do it.
Absolutely. I got to see you do it. Yeah, we're saying the same, absolutely the same thing. You got to see guys do things. And the thing I get with too, John, is that for the coaches, make sure you're getting what you're asking them to do, not just going through the motion of what they think they should be doing, and they think they're doing it correctly. We're doing them a disservice. Okay, you're practicing just to practice. You're not practicing to get the thing right. Okay, and to me, I think that's one thing that we really needed to work to overcome from going into last season. Whereas guys were used to doing things a certain way, and they stayed with doing things that particular way, and it wasn't exactly right. When I say exactly right, were the steps and the pad level and the hand placement and the target exactly the way it needed to be? No.
Yeah. Progression, coach, huh?
Absolutely.
So to wrap this up a little bit, coach, thank you very much for your time. But
sure.
Look, I'm very excited about the Elf League, right? It was one of these things that year one people were asking themselves, like, what is going on here? What are they trying to
I was
do?
too. He wanted me to come over the first year like Patrick. I don't know if I could do that, man.
Show me. You said show me. Don't tell me.
I said I don't know if I could do that. I mean, you have to understand. I had a particular arrangement at Bethune-Cookman that I just couldn't walk away from, and but when the league came back the second year and it was proven to be having a chance of being viable, then I said, let's go, and let's make this thing happen. Let's build it how we need to build it. We're going to play hard, tough championship football, and that's the only thing I've come to learn how to do under Brian Jenkins and Val and all those good coaches that I've had a chance to be associated with. Jim Pletcher.
So yeah, I'm excited about year three and it's the opportunities that it brings for players and coaches and front office staff and everything. Right, the expansion is going quite fast. I'd say
Yeah,
that's you had last year the Turkish team, the Rams that did not have to pull
yeah,
out. That's very
yeah, yeah,
unfortunate.
yeah,
Not sure why that was exactly, but I like the idea of this European thing, man. Like all these countries, right? Spain, Italy, France, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, Hungary, Poland.
yeah, yeah.
There's a few. I think there's in the next couple of years. I'm sure there will be other countries coming along. What do you make of the expansion? Because like last year, the Austrian teams, I sort of predicted that one of these Austrian teams would win the championship. Sorry,
Yeah.
no offense.
No,
But
that's totally fine. That's
you know,
totally fine. Basically, you, you don't have to travel. You got a home game. That plays to your favor. But the thing is that they've got within their organizations. Okay, if you have established infrastructure,
that's it.
that helps you. That helps you a lot.
Yeah.
Here in Hamburg, we're still establishing our infrastructure. Okay, we're working through some things, but we're making it work. Okay, I think there are certain other teams that are still having to establish their infrastructure, and they're learning how to make it work and getting partnerships because the league is seen as being stronger. Okay, whereas people want to be associated with this very popular American football or that's coming up. And
well, the next, like, and that's exactly right. Why I was saying this, like, because they are both Austrian teams that are top of Europe for years, right? So now, and I know well firsthand, like 2014, I think we played the Vienna Vikings at their place was a European game, and we beat them at their place. And I know they just have everything in place to be very powerful, powerful teams in Europe in both the domestic league and in the ELF, right? Innsbruck has that the same as Vienna. So the Italian team is an existing team. And I think all the other expansion teams are new organizations. So they will have the same growing pains as all the new teams. That's where Galaxy, wasn't an existing organization. They have a little bit of a step. Rhein Fire, new last year. I think they're going to make a big step this year. Yeah, look, I'm curious to see how those new expansion teams are going to go this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's always going to be interesting as long as you get the players that can compete and line up, and you have to integrate the import players with your homegrown players, and quite frankly, you must have good homegrown players. You must have good quality homegrown players to play in this league on a high level. Okay. Yeah. Fortunately, we do have good homegrown players. And same thing with Austria. They have good homegrown players that are able to compete and understand concepts and do things on a high level. And then when they bring in their import players to play certain positions, okay, then you're really adding to your team. You're really adding to the setup of your team and your chances of being successful in the league.
Yeah. Look, like I said, I'm excited to see all that happen this year. And the Hungarian team is also an existing organization. But look, I'm not sure. I don't know much about Hungarian football. Same as like
Hey,
Turkey last year.
yeah, yeah,
Quality
yeah.
I'm talking about, right?
Now the
I mean,
Hungarian team, that's the Enthroners, correct?
yeah, that's it.
Okay. Now, I mentioned his name earlier. Bill Myers worked with him at the University of Pittsburgh. He's your offensive line coach.
Oh, no way.
Okay. Yes. Munich.
They're going to block a little bit, huh?
Yeah, yeah. The Munich Ravens. They hired a guy I played with, Paul Dunn.
Right,
He's
there
their
you go.
offensive line coach. And John Shoup being from Pittsburgh, and you have Jim Tomsula being from Pittsburgh, and myself being from that area. Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
It's I'm I have been following the league for from afar, and I will continue to do so. Now I don't want to put you on the spot here, but would you have time?
But you are going to anyway, right?
Yeah. No, but I'm perfectly okay with a no answer as well. But would you have time during the season to check in for like 5 to 10 minutes and have just a quick
Catch me in an off week, John.
off week?
We have 2 buys.
Mm-hmm.
We have 2 buys,
mm-hmm.
and they're literally a week apart. I think it's week 8 is a bye. We play in week 9, and we have a league bye in week 10.
Okay, so it's more towards the end of the season. Yeah.
Yeah, middle to end. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Yeah, look, I'll take anything I can get to just
sure.
To
Let's put it on the calendar. Yeah, let's put it on the calendar.
Sure.
And for you, I'll commit that to you.
Awesome. And it just look, there's a few other people from the Elf that I'm trying to do this with, and just I'm a bit disappointed. Let's say this that the import rule for people outside of the homegrown is going down, because that means we'll have less chance of any Aussie to play in the Elf.
Coach, I almost hired Aussie. I almost hired the guy. Coach, honestly, we were that close. We were that close. Yeah? Yes, it was him. It was him. He did a good job. I love his demeanor. I love the way he approaches the game. He's very simplistic, but he's detailed.
There's other guys out here that will can and want to in the future, but that's for a different day. But Coach Jones, I thank you very much for your time, man. It was great. It was nice catching up again. So let's do it, not soon, but let's do it in the season as well.
Hey man, love to get down there, down under, and wrestle a kangaroo too.
So now,
hell no!
I'll put this out
hell
there.
No.
I'm trying to get Pat on here as well, right? So,
I told him. Here's the thing. Here's the thing with him. Just take less time.
Yes. He can set up whatever time he is available. Like I said,
tell him that. Okay. Tell him that. Okay. Tell him that. Just tell him you need 15 minutes.
Yeah, but
and keep it to that, and just let it go.
Sure.
Okay, because he's running like they got him bouncing everywhere, man.
Yeah, I know. What I'm gonna ask him, I'll tell you now, so everybody can hear as well, is that I want him to come over here in the off season and run an Elf camp. So anybody from Australia can come to a tryout and see. That's what I want to get organized. So
hey, include me in that.
Well,
tell me he has to bring Yogi. I'm coming.
All right, sounds good. All right, Coach. I'll talk to you
Love to,
later.
man. Hey, take
See you,
care.
man. Thanks.
All the best. Ciao.
Bye. See ya.